Well, good evening and welcome everybody to the Full Sail University online classes. My name is Steve Kane, and once again, I am here with you presenting the Audio Workstations class. It is week 3, and we are doing our Tuesday lecture, and it's kind of a weird Tuesday. It is 6/12/18. That's the date, right? And I'm a numbers nerd, right? And so check it out. 6/12/18. Does everybody see what was going like that? All right, I'm going to turn my preamp down just a hair. See if that's I got some folks saying I'm breaking up a little bit. How's everybody else sounding? All right, and yeah, so it's kind of a neat date, but anyway, it's Tuesday, 6/12/18. All the power. I knew something was happening cool today. And it's Tuesday, so you know what that means, that we are going over our remix project so you can continue on your milestones. I've got a great studio audience here tonight. I want to thank Brantley. Duke is in the house. Ed, James, Jeremy, John S.C. and John S.E., Kevin, and Michael, Russ, Summer, and Tyrone. Thank you guys for all being here tonight. It's good to have you here, and I'm glad that you're here. So, man, we're going to jump in this remix, and this is my favorite lecture of the entire month, really, because when we get down, remember your project guidelines are here. This is the night that we lay down music, and I just love music. That's what got me started into engineering, is that somebody told me if you don't have good sounding demos, nobody's going to take you seriously. So as a musician, I wanted to start making good sounding demos. So I started going to the music stores and picking their brains when I was a teenager, drive all the way into Memphis and talk to the guys about 4-track recording here. So just a quick little reminder, right, as you're working with this, all of the plugins that we are going to be using tonight are ones that came stock with this course. Right, so in week 1, we downloaded our tracks, and you went ahead and did a tempo map, identifying beat and inserting tempo changes. And that way, and I want to talk about this for just a second, because we've had some great conversations throughout the month about this step of re-identifying beat throughout the song if it drifts. Let me get a quick true or false. True or false, drum machines drift. Do 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 do. You can just say T or F. Do 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 do. Right, they're going to be steady like a robot's heartbeat or something, right? So if your song is based, if you did this step and you found the tempo, and then you just put it at bar 1 and then you realigned it at bar 3, you wouldn't really need to keep on going. However, it's a human drummer. That's definitely when, even if they're playing to a click track, you want, even if they're not trying to speed up, you want to really track it precisely so we can do things like quantize and things like that. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an MS if that makes sense. Because, we've got 2 different ways of making music, loop-based and that. All right. Glad to hear that. Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you, John, James, Duke, Summer, Russ, John. Thank you very much. Awesome. All right. So, and the reason, does anybody want to point out why I like everything starting at bar 3? It happens to do with a special type of production, and it would be, let's see if anybody's going to type in yet, for the live show, right? And so what happens in our live show, because everybody knows, like, there's DAW support, right? So what happens is, for measure 1, it's silent, but as they're hitting play, system exclusive and all those other cool things you learned in sequencing are setting up keyboards and effects units and preamps and things like that. Then measure 2 is the count off, and then the band starts at measure 3 generally. So if we want to get in cool with the live industry as well, when we're in the studio, we want to go ahead and make those habits, because hopefully they're going to go on tour, and realistically it allows you to do some neat things too, by keeping a couple of measures up there at the front. So then in last week, we went ahead and laid down some rhythm. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows, and I wrote this in your documents, that I want to see at least 6 tracks here. Remember that one of the tracks was optional here, but I want to see at least 6 MIDI tracks here. So as you're moving forward, if I had to dock you some points for not having enough MIDI tracks laid out for your rhythm tracks, you still have time to fix that when you turn it in. Let's see, I got a quick question. Makes for confusing in terms of how the 4-bar phrase, of how the 4-bar phrases break. Oh, you mean as far, all right, so I gotcha. So Russ is saying, like, because it's starting on bar 3 instead of bar 4, it's weirder to say like 3 to 7 instead of 4 to 8 because it's easier to think of 4s. Is that what you're getting at? Yeah, totally. I totally get it, and and that's one of the you say patingo, you say potato. But here's what happens. Russ brings up a great point, right? So check this out. Whether you start at measure 3 or measure 4, is the crowd going to know really? Right? They're not going to know at all, right? Now let's take this for example. All right, yeah, he says not let you tell it, right? But check this out, all right? Now, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but let's be real since we're talking about this. Um, it's what is not going to happen on the second song is we close the file and then reopen a second file, right? Because that's going to take too long. So in the real world, what happens is the second song might start at measure 134, right? And then the second song or the third song might start at measure 300 and whatever. When we had our Pro Tools engineer for Dream Theater come back and ask me to help him set up his show, everything was lined out linearly. So what they did is they utilized the markers in here, just as I was marking up the parts of the song, they were marking up songs, like first song, second song, third song, fourth song, fifth song, sixth song. Does that make sense? And so that's a great point when you're starting, off. If it makes more sense for you to start at 4, I'm game with that. What I don't want is to have excessive silence. I don't want it to be like, you get my point? So we like it to start up real quick. And whether you're starting at 3 or 4, I don't think that is I think that's insequential as long as you know that you're leaving room and the band knows that you're leaving room to insert all the patch changes that the effects boxes and the keyboards and everything's going to take and all of that. And then you've got to count off. Let's see. That was all right. So great point. So sorry for the sidetrack, but remember, I'm sorry but not sorry because I want you all to be scarecrows, right? Outstanding in your field. All right. So then we started laying down some of our instruments there, and we talked a lot about MIDI. So I want to make sure that everybody is cool with our AMS. Now, a couple of you had sent me pictures of your audio window, and not your MIDI window, and so I couldn't see if you actually had your stuff hooked up. So I needed to dock you points for that. I want to make sure that everybody knows that there are definitely 2 windows. Everybody knows there are 2 windows. You got the MIDI, you got the audio, and that tells you everything that you need to know about this and about that, and if it's hooked up. Because if it's not, it'll look like. Hold it, I almost said something. Man, instructor's flowing bars again. All right, so everybody cool with this window? This is the one that we needed for the remix milestone because I want to make sure that I can see your keyboard and if you're using your interface or not, or whatever. All right, straight fire, woo! All right, so now we got that going on. Let's go back to our Pro Tools session now. So who wants to tell me, look at this, look at my name right here. I've already got a day 3. What flavor of save did I do to make that happen, right? when I'm looking at my files and I see my session folder, and that's containing all of these unique session files, what flavor of save? Very good, very good. Who got it first? Tyrone got it first with the save as. Summer came in and James Coleman save as. Very good. And see, in this way, we get to go back. If tonight we're like, oh man, this stinks, which I dare you to say that. No, I'm kidding. We could always go back here, right? So I'm just keeping on adding, right? So we got our save as. Very good. Whoops, didn't mean to hit that. All right, so I think we're sounding pretty good. Let's go check that out. So I think we started here at verse 2. Now, does anybody remember what key this was in? Let me run back to Indaba. I should have written it down when I saw it. If not, we're going to figure it out by ear, and I am down with that as well. Sometimes rap is a little bit tougher, but let's see if we can find that one real quick. See, I'm hearing it, so I'll be able to find it if it's not going to just straight up give it to us. Was it Nuclea that was doing? Yep. Let's see. Cross your fingers, cross your fingers. If not, ain't scared. Just like I found your tempo, you can use your ears to find the key. So, let's get the files. Oh, now it's look, because I've already done that. All right, so anything scanning. Oh, look. All right, so scheme C minor. C minor. You know what happens when you drop a piano down a mine shaft? There's no more C minor. You don't, hold it. No, I messed up the joke line. The punchline. You don't C minor. All right. So, let's get this party started. So, we've got some free instrument tracks down here, so we're going to pop one on board. Hello. Boom, 3 fingers down. Chicka pow wow. All right, so I'll stay down with this. So, all right, now remember, I'll review a little bit on this. And actually, what I might do is go ahead and take everybody else off right here and do 3 fingers down, so we're really seeing this thing. And now I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to call this one Bed Tracks, and we'll make it number 93, which is half English and half French for 93. We don't want any here, but we want to have which tracks and how big they are. So we hit ok. So we go down here, and so just a quick little review then. So remember, I'm not going to see any plugins on my output on my instrument track. Now, let me ask you a question. An instrument track is a representative of what type of tracks? It is like what track and what track combined. Remember, I taught this like peanut butter plus jelly equals peanut butter and jelly. So what track plus what track gives me l'instrument track? Very good. Brantley was first in there, the MIDI plus the aux. Russ is in with a quick second, MIDI plus the aux. Who's in there for the third, for the show, who's coming in the show, who's coming to the show? Summer's in for the show. James and Jeremy. Woo! Well, it's horse racing season, right? So let's go ahead and name this. Now, why am I going to name my track before I record on it? Who's going to tell me that? Who's going to tell me that? Who's going to tell me that? What's special about that? What is special about that? What's going to happen to the clip, to the clip, to the clip, 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 clip? Clippity clap, clippity clap, clippity clap. It makes that region or clip name the same way, right? So, whether you call them, if you know Avid, right? They own other software that they call things clips, and they bought them from Digidesign that called them regions. And so if you've ever seen Pro Tools in previous versions, you've seen it called you might see it called a region before, or a clip. All right, so both are right. So now check it out. As soon as I put my instrument on here, and for the bass, I'm gonna go a big fat analog synth bass, right? Bass, right? Because the vacuum. A lot of people think the vacuum sucks, but the vacuum is an awesome analog synthesizer, and there ain't no thing like a mini Moog. Let's go see what that mini Moog sounds like. All right, now notice, as soon as I did that, in my instrument column here, it already routed it, right? So remember the columns that we need to see: instrument, inserts, and sends IOs, all 4 of those. Comments are going to be nice, and remember, you can see all those by clicking on that little drop down, or by going up the grandma viewway of edit window view, and then you have everything here. So a couple different ways here. So it automatically routed it for me. Notice it says vacuum 1 on channel 1 because it says vacuum, and this is the first instance of it. All right. So as long as I hit my record button, it's in C minor. Here we go. Sorry, I just got a little demented. That was a music theory joke. Right? Diminished, demented, All right. So let's just kind of listen and get inspired for a minute. And so and feel free to tweak out and play with these things and get your own little fun little thing going on for your sounds. Play with everything. You're gonna. All right, so whatever you want to do. All right, so let's just listen for a minute. Let's start over here, verse 2. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to loop this verse 2 to the chorus here. So I'm going to hit verse 2, and then I'm going to hold down shift and then click chorus 1. Now, can I do this with quick keys? Of course we can. I can hit period 4, period, if I had my, or, when I've got that, shift, period, 5, period, I have this little loop. So, one of the ways that we've talked about some recording before, I want to show you a loop record. Now, as I show you a loop record, I want to go ahead and bring in an audio track. Come on, bring it in, teach. All right, here we go. So, because I want to teach you the differences of what's happening in this audio track versus a MIDI track before we get going on. Because remember, we all want to be scarecrow while we're here, right? So now, watch what happens. I've got my bass now and my teach. I'm just for this though. I'm just gonna make a small little loop here to record both of these. Now, what I want you to notice is that hey, there I am. Is what we create over here on the side when we go into loop record. Here we go. I'm going to loop record right now, right? Check. So, notice that if I don't play in the MIDI is going to stay on 3 for a minute. If I'm quiet, it'll still rename. Watch my voice numbers. I might be getting a little too complicated there. All right, so here's a couple things then. So I want you to see that although I was at 423 over here, because that kept on even when I wasn't talking, and you're like, you never shut up, dude. You're hearing static in my voice? Sorry about that. Let's see. But notice that bass only went to 15 because it would not advance when we were loop recording. So I want to make that. Let me see. Now I want to also show you that as these basses were coming out, we got individual MIDI clips, right, for each one. But on our teach, right, it all goes back to that one file. And look at that. It's really, really long. Right? It's as long as however many times I was looping it, right? So you see the difference of how loop record works, right? With MIDI and audio. So I'm not sure what I want to do yet. So I'm just going to play a couple times from the verse to the chorus on my MIDI track. See you later, Teach. We don't need you anymore. All right. So 3 fingers down. And I just said, let's get, all right, so if I lost that selection, check it out. Under the edit menu, you've got Option, Command Z, right? And that gives me my selection back. So now we're just going to do a little MIDI recording. Notice that the MIDI merge button is grayed out. A couple things before I get started. I want to go ahead and change this, that we are not in C major. We are in C minor. C minor. And we want that from measure uno, which is just Spanish for 1, to the end of the session. And we'll hit ok. Ok, 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 ok. And I'm going to show you why this is cool later on. All right, so looking at this, I got my 2-bar count off, and then I don't want my drums because I've already got my drums programmed, so I just want to listen to that. Wait a minute. Let's check one other thing before I start going on. Which of these will help me quantize as I record in, right? Not after the fact, right? But I go to my input quantize. Let's check the status of that. All right, so it is on right now, so we're good. I just want to check before we got too far. No big worries. Let's just do it again. So, you get the idea. So you can keep on going. Honestly, I think the first one was the best one, just keeping it simple. All right, come on now. Not all of them. Just this one. Bass 16. And so I'm going to pop that right there. Oh, of course you like that. So did I not have that full one recorded? No, I thought 16. All right, so look at that. So what I'll do is I'll drag out 17. And then I'm just going to quickly open this up. So check this out. We've got a couple windows here. We've been working with this our edit window, and I could go work with the notes here, but this is what we call a pain in the butate. If I was to get down on this level and start doing this, what I would rather do is I would rather leave it in clips. And with my selector tool, when I double click, it automatically opens up this window called the MIDI editor, right? And now I can slowly clean that up because I wanted to, I was going to go down and do a little walk in there, but I didn't like the way it sounded. So let's see what this sounds like. All right, so now at measure 16, is that where they're really starting to bring in with the chorus? Yeah. All right, so we'll figure out something there. So I like that, and I just opened that MIDI editor. Now, here's what I wanted to show you of the reason that I liked putting in my key signature, because let's say I'm a bass player, right? Or I'm not a bass player, but this is an idea, right? And then I come across Victor Wooten, right? This actually happened to me. I was representing Full Sail University at one of the NAMM shows back in 2003, right? And we're over at the place there in Nashville, and right across the street there is the Ryman Auditorium. And I just called my buddy, my old landlord, my photographer friend, see if he want to have some dinner. And he's like, hey, can you come over? My photo assistant flaked out, and we're shooting Bella Fleck and Les Paul and all these guys and such. And I was like, what? So we went over there and did that. And what a great opportunity to watch Victor Wooten play a bass, right? So let's say that I just had this groove, and later on I want somebody like Victor to play an overdub on it or something, right? So check it out. I've got another window in here called Score, right? Now, it tells me what ones I'm looking at, so I'm going to hold Option. I can take them all off. Everybody say, take it off. All right, and we look at the bass. Now check it out. Boom. Because I put in C minor, look, it automatically put in my key signatures for me, and I forgot the name of the song, Laguacha. So we can say LAUNGGWACHA, and then instead of composer, we'll put remixed by Homeboy Steve, Homeboy Skane. Let's go Homeboy Skane, right? And then boom, look at that. And then we say, hey Vic, man, here's what we're doing. That's just kind of like the idea. You go and knock it out, right? And do whatever you need to, right? So you see how it does this, and oh look, Homeboy Steve had a bad note. Watch this, right? So check it out. Command tilde goes through all the different windows we had open, right? So I should have left that open. So it looks like what they did is, look at that right there. Would you look at it? Just look at it. So what I wanted to do was kind of walk up and have that B flat and C. But what I'll do is I'll just... Yeah, and then at 16 we'll start our C. And now look, when we go here, and I'm good, right? And then we'll start our chorus right here. All right, so let's go do something for our chorus real quick. Oh, come on, Steve. My finger, it's Command Tab that I'm hitting to go through all these. Now, right above it, I'm hitting Command tilde. There we go. All right, so I like that. Now I want to get from chorus 1 to the turnaround. And then so let's listen to that for a second. Let's listen one more time. All right. It might sound weird. We're just going to try it. So here we go. All right, so no, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get 24 back, and I'm going to go fix that one note. So let's double click, and instead of playing that B flat right there, we'll have it go back up to the C. Whoops, not everybody. So check this out, just to show you another MIDI function, right? I could drag the note up and down, right? What would be the MIDI function that I could use to change the pitches of MIDI notes, right? Where we use quantize to change the timing of MIDI notes. Which ones of these would I use to change the pitch of the MIDI notes? Duke is in with the transpose. Summer is there with the transpose. That's right. And so we got option T. Option T. I don't know why it sounds better like Sean Connery when you say option, but option T. So if I wanted to, now let's pause for a teaching moment, all right? So I want to go from a B flat to a C, right? So I could put in 2 semitones, correct? And that would take care of it. Everybody give me a 2 to let me know that you agree with me, right? Because I could transpose up 2 semitones, right? Good. Thank you, James. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Brantley. Thank you, Michael. Right? Now, and then if I wanted to go down to, if I was trying to get to A flat, what would I put in? Just asking, just making sure you know. If I was trying to go down to what do I put in front of the 2? What do I put in front of the 2? There we go. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, James. Thank you, John. Sorry, John. I got you second, James. Then Summer, then Brantley. Good. -2. All right. So if I did not want to do that, then I can go literal. I could say literally go from B flat, and then that is octave number 1, to go to C octave 2. Does everybody understand that I could do that? Right? Just give me a Y for yes. All right. Good. Thank you, everybody. I would call you out name by name, but then you're just going to want it every single time. All right, but here's what I want to stress on this right here. This does not have to be exact. If you know it is one step, check this out, and I'm just going to go for demonstration purposes. This is a relative thing. So if I said from F6 to G6, does everybody understand that that is the same relative step as what we just did there? And watch. Right? So this is in relative movement. All right? So I could put in the literal one of B flat 1 to C2, but it also works in a relative way. Everybody give me an R for relative. All right? And you can play with that later to experiment with that, all right? R. I already told you that joke, right, Tyrone? What's the pirate's favorite letter? Yeah, but you think it's the C. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. Just making sure. All right. Since we did that one, how about this one? Did you hear about the zoo that had only one dog? It was a Shih Tzu. All right. I love puns. They're so funny. All right. Now, let's talk about this one. Transpose all notes to. Actually, I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit. I just wanted to bring up this transpose window while we could, and just to show you how I could fix it there. But so now let's listen to what we've got here. Now, even though I'm only doing those 2 sections, please remember we are totally expecting you to do your entire song. If I was to do my entire song, by the way, I'm hitting Command S right now for save. I would take much too long. All right, so just one little fix. I noticed that I had an extra little blip down here, and we're going to get rid of that. All right, so one of the things that makes analog synths so fun, how many people know the rock group Yes? Yeah, I'm in command, Duke. That's right. Command that shit, baby. All right, so Russ... Russ knows them. Tyrone, no. James, no. Summer, yes. All right, so Getty, their bass player, would either play with a bass guitar or he would go over and he would have one of these mini Moogs. Roundabout is yes, and they are totally awesome as well. And they would have had one of these mini Moogs as well. If you go into Steve Kane Productions, you might see one of mine up here. I'm pointing at it right now, but because my camera's not on, you can't see it. But I've got a real mini Moog sitting right next to me, not just like the vacuum. But one of the coolest things about them are all these filters, right? And so listen to the sound of this. Now, check it out. When we got filters, right? And then depending on the resolution, sorry, not the resolution. Feedback, right? And you can hear it, get that real like whoosh sound in here. The higher it goes, listen, I'm going to do it real quick. You hear that whoosh, where you don't hear it when it's pulled down, not as much, right? So play around with it. So I want to automate this thing because that's one of the coolest things is playing with this one. Y'all remember that? Right? And then he starts tweaking out. All right. So everybody cool with that? So it's some fun little things to tweak out. And on a bass, it's particularly fun. And you'll might see, and because we're dealing with a bass, having that kind of filter doesn't really have as much fun as the high end. But let's go have some fun, right? Now, here's the reason why I'm doing this. Let's jump back over here and look at my remix project guidelines. Way down here at the bottom, I'm jumping down to the bottom. So we're doing our bass, and remember, only use the plugins that we give you for our class, you know, that we're using the air collection, that so we can actually load them up and see what you're doing here. If you are a mega bass player, or as my friends in Nashville might say, bass man, gonna go bass, just make sure that you totally tell me in the comments here that, you know, this audio track was recorded with a live bass. Tell me about it. A Fender Jazz playing through, you know, basement, whatever, mic'd with a blah 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 blah, whatever. Okay, so tell me the actual things if you're going that far. But what I wanted to point out was going down here. So we're laying down the bass. I'm composing it by MIDI, and then I'm gonna break it down to audio and hide it so I don't have any CPU errors later on. But check this out. I want to jump down here real quick into our guidelines, because one of the things that we're going to do is automate volume and pan on our mixing night, but then it says a plugin of my choice, and that's what I'd like to address right now. The plugin of my choice. All right, so this is a very fun one, right? So what I want to do is I'm just going to, because I don't want to have to worry about the automation and all this kind of nonsense about what I want to automate. You pick the wrong thing. Here's the easiest way to do it. Watch this. You right click, you tell it to forget what it knows, and then you right click again and you grab your favorite MIDI knob on your MIDI controller, like this one, and I start turning it. And there I go. Just like that. Right? So now what I want to do is I want to get, because check this out, MIDI merge is grayed out when I'm in loop mode, so I don't want to be in normal mode. So now I want to MIDI merge onto this, and let's go ahead and get from the verse all the way down to this turnaround section. So I said from the verse all the way down to this turnaround section. All right. So now watch what happens when I merge this controller data onto the track. And look, I just automated it. Check it out. Check it out, party people, because our teacher is automating. How you like me now? Whoa! How about that? All right, now I'm not saying that this is the best bass line, and actually, now that I'm listening to it more and more, I don't know that I'm crazy about that A right there. But this is more about learning Pro Tools and learning how to record. But so we got a cool way. All right, so now we got that gun. Now, when that happens, I want you to do this. I want you to tell me that we've got filter automation. Filter automation. Come on MIDI bass track. All right. So now I've got this, and I'm going to leave it at 100, even though I'm not going to mix it at 100. We leave it there. Now, who remembers the editing function? Come on, I'm trying to. All right. First off, who remembers these quick keys to zoom in and zoom out real tight? Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Tyrone. Awesome. All right. So here's another one. Now, who remembers the one to get all of these rewritten together? And because now we're going to pretend that all of my bass is written, and we're going to call this my bass comp, right? So now, as I go from here all the way, check it out. Shift, and I got to get my selector here. So I'm going to hit Command 3. To grab that, and then I'm going to hit Shift, double click, right? So, who remembers which way? I've got two ways to do this. If they're exactly correct, I can heal them, but look, these aren't exactly correct next to each other, right? So I cannot heal them. So now I have to then consolidate it. Thank you, Brantley Russ and James Jingleheimer Schmidt. So now that I've done that, and oh look, it renamed it Bass Comp. So that way I know that that's the one that I'm using, right? Let's get rid of that one, honestly. All right. So now, who remembers the C word that we right click and we go to turn this into audio? That's right, commit. Brantley is on that front end. Summer's all coming in on there. Very good. So we're going to commit these as audio now. And here's the reason that I like to do that. Because now, like we were talking about, and I know that we've talked about early, what's the biggest thing that you don't want to do right here? You don't want to delete it. That's right. So we're hiding them and making them inactive. Let's do it offline. I'll see you back in a quick second. But notice that I'm always going to back to, even though there's nothing there, I still go to the very beginning so it's easy to line up. Did y'all get scared like when the lights go out when you're in preschool? All right, so check it out. 3 fingers down. Now what I'm going to do is re-edit those bed tracks. So now that's that. I actually want to change it to brown since I've got enough blue tracks going on. And that's my base, so maybe I'll even make that dark brown. All right, so the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to all tracks, and I'm going to now add my bass. 3 fingers down, and then right click again. Or check this out. 0.90 enter is the same thing as right clicking. And I'm just doing that so we can add it up. So I'm keeping everything color coded, right? All my drums are blue, my vocals are red, my bed instruments, my bed tracks are going to start being brown. All right, so now let's go back to my bed tracks. Let's get another instrument here. And so now we're talking about, let's see. All right, pause for questions. Sorry, I haven't done a pause yet for questions. So I'm hoping I said complete. All right. The commit, delete. Yep. Wait. How do you get the 3 fingers down to work? So that is Control, Option, and Command, and then the down arrow. And actually, I think the up arrow is. How do I do that point number thing? Does that work on mine whenever I try it? Jeremy, do you have a standard keyboard or a large keyboard? If it doesn't, if you're not using a large keyboard, those type of things are not going to work. The only one that you're going to work is by hitting that function button, which is that lower FN button in the lower F hand corner, and hitting return, and get an external big one. Yes. An external one with the keyboard or the calculator controls, and that's how I am doing those shortcuts. That's right. That's why I tell you, get that big one. All right, so make sure you leave that automation playlist there displayed. So let's go back to this for a second, because as I'm grading, I want to check that is showing. So, and you don't have to. You can leave it undone, but see how I've got the effect. I can see what you've done. Right, and by the way, just to well, all right, we'll talk about that later. So just leave that, even though we're hiding it. I just want to make sure that when I look at it, I can quickly see, what you've done. Any questions about that kind of stuff? So I don't. All right. So as far as the only quick key that I've seen, instead of hitting Enter to bring up the new memory location, you can hit function return, and that would work as well. So there might be some other ones that you got there. You do not need a live bass. You can play your own bass. This was just saying, we've had some players in the past. Some of you might be great guitarists and want to lay down, instead of a piano part, you might want to lay down your own guitar part. I'd be down with that too. If you're a bass player and you want to put down your own live bass, but I don't want everything being live audio. I want 1 or 2 instruments at the most, and then these others being MIDI, so I can understand, so I can tell that you know that you're talking about. All right, so let's put some pads and some leads and counter melodies on here. All right, so let's do a pad first. I'm kind of thinking of organ. I hit the caps button for some reason. Organ. That reminds me. Do you know how to sell a cow to a man that's hard of hearing? Do you want to buy a cow? I don't know why you have to still sound like an old guy when you shout. People, yeah, I get the same reaction when I tell that in class. They're like, really? Did you just tell that joke in class? Oh. All right, so check it out. So here's one of my favorite plugins. This thing is awesome. You guys are so lucky to have this thing, man. The DB33. I mean, pound for pound, is one of the best sounding organs out there. Now, I know that's a joke because it's a plugin and it doesn't weigh anything. But back in the 1900s, right, before Blackbird Studios was Blackbird Studios, it was owned by the Judds, and I was working at Ferg's amp shop across the street from it, and we had to carry that C3 organ across that pea gravel driveway over to the amp shop to fix it. And that was heavy. And so, yeah, it was. I got somebody saying it's still there. Yep, I've broken into that one. Help fix that one. So so I got my organ here. Now remember, when you're seeing your MIDI, your instrument tracks, you're seeing the velocity, and then you're seeing the audio volume over here, right? Now, and check it out. If I just turn a controller knob, oh, I've already ganged those three together with one. I'll show you how I did that a little bit later on. But check it out. You see, I barely see the controller. You can barely see it coming through. All right. So let's do some organ here. So let's go back to our verse 2. All right, here we go. So I tell you what, I'm gonna take this back off in case I make mistakes. In case I make mistakes. That's funny. Oh, the other thing that I'm gonna do, now this is a secret Steve technique here. So make sure that you don't tell everybody, because you don't want everybody knowing how you make your specially dope rific beats. After I lay down my drums and bass, I take input quantize off. And that way I know my drums and my bass are nice and tight, and now my other instruments kind of flow around it there, and it just makes it makes it sound less robotic. So that's a secret Steve production technique. All right, y'all ready? Woo, woo. So you know what? Let's just let it roll, and I want to show you some techniques here. All right, so I want to start 2 measures beforehand, and we'll go 2 measures afterwards, all right? Now, what that's going to do is when I then start at the verse, it's going to jump in, and you see this little orange flag, right? Watch how it changes if I put 4. Watch it back up some more. All right? So now what's going to happen is maybe I don't want to use the count off because I got the pre-roll instead.
ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਿਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ.
Totally hated that second part. All right, but let's see what we got going on.
ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਿਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ.
All right, now wait a minute. Did I or did I not turn off input quantize? All right, it is off. So why in the heck? Oh, so look at this. See, it didn't grab that in, right? And I didn't get my slide up in there. Because see, and I did this on purpose because I wanted you to know, because I was like, I had this really cool slide coming in, right? But then because of where I started it, even though I was pre-rolling, right, it was not automatically recording it. Now, does everybody understand the difference of where I was talking about quick punch the other night? See how it would I could do that little fake out technique? Did I show you that little fake out technique with quick punch yet? All right, so let's get my teaching track up here again. And the cool thing about quick punch mode is when you've got somebody new in the studio and they get nervous or something, they're like, hey, can I just run through it once? Right? You can totally run through it once, right? So let's make this active. And watch how quick punch mode works. So normally I can't start playing and then punch in and out. It won't let me. Right? It won't let me. I have to be in quick punch mode, right? And now as I play, it'll go in the record, out of record, into record, out of record. Now, so I need Quick Punch to do that. Now, one of the cool things that you can do with Quick Punch, especially with new artists, is when they're wanting, and a lot of times you get their best take while they're rehearsing because they're not concentrating on being nervous, they're concentrating on really doing it right. So what I do is I play along, and check this out. Play along, play along, play along. And I'm playing along, and I'm playing along, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing really hot. As long as I punch in and then out, I can take my trim tool and get all of that nonsense that I was recording beforehand, right? MIDI doesn't do that, right? So I wanted, that's going to come in really handy, and you'll get some really good takes. Now, obviously, if they see you do it once, then there's no fooling them again, but at least you get a good take. It kind of, gets it in there. Or if you forget to hit record and you're in quick punch mode, don't freak out and hit stop. Just know that before you hit stop, you've got to quickly punch in and punch out so you can take your trim tool and get the rest of it all out. So I just wanted to point that out about this little pre-roll thing, right? Because unlike quick punching, where I can bring everything back with the trim tool, I was not able to do that, right? So rather than pre-rolling, if you're wanting to do something like that, you've actually got to start 2 bars beforehand. All right. So this is why you may have heard me or may have not heard me saying that in music production, you might not find people using pre-roll and post-roll as much as they do in post-production scenarios. All right. So now if I want to go to the verse, I'll go to the verse and then just say, you know what? I want to start recording at measure 10, and I'll just go that way. Right. And I'll check it out. I'm just going to hit 3. It doesn't matter. This is going to be the same for me. Now, check it out. Right now, it's in merge recording, or it's not in merge recording. So it's going to go over it because let's say I don't like it and I want it to record over it again. Right. So I'll leave it there. It'll just get recorded over. Now, all right. So I tweaked out my performance a little bit, but now look, we saved it, and we can go ahead. No, I don't want to do that yet. Now, again, remember, we're not grading you on musical content. You can play one note at a time. You can do whatever. All right. So let's do another plug-in type of thing, right? So I really like 2 big things on the organ. I like moving these together, right? So again, what I would do is I would forget each one of them, and I like moving them together because realistically, when I play, I grab, and so I'm not being specific on which fader which stop I'm grabbing. I just go and I just grab a handful of them, and I still get a nice big response. So now what I'll do to put them all on the same one, I'm going to right click, learn, and let's grab this one right here. All right, so I've got that one, and then so I'm just going to learn the same one, and learn the same one. And that way I've got that. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the Leslie cabinet. Now, this is the speaker, the rotating speaker. And I'll tell you a quick little story about this little rotating speaker because of how I learned about this. I grew up in a really small town. I grew up on a farm. So my first job was as soon as I was strong enough to hold a shovel of you know what, that's what I was cleaning out of the horse stalls. And the only job mom would let me have that was not in the that would get me out of a farm job was a music job. So I was always looking in the papers for music job. And in the South, you know, outside of Memphis, there's about the only thing you could find were to play weddings or church gigs. So I went to this Episcopalian church, and there, if you've ever seen Episcopalian music, there's no steady time signature. So as a teenager, it was really weird to see like 8 beats and then 3 beats and then 2 beats and then 10 beats and playing with your hands and your feet and all this. And that was fine. I mean, I didn't mind doing all that, but I was like, there's got to be something better than this. And they were only, you know, paying like $25 a week. And then what happened is I saw another church. It was a black gospel church there, and I went and I tried out there, and I put both hands on the keyboard, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going to play." And they're like, "Well, how are you going to mess with the Leslie organ in the cabinet?" I was like, "What?" And that's what started me learning how to really play organ, is watching these guys and like, here, let me show you. And they would play with one hand on the manual, and then they would start messing with the Leslie cabinet and these stops, and that's what started getting some good organ. So let's do this now. So let's forget that one, and then let's go ahead and learn this one. All right, so I've got that one. All right, so now we're going to go bring this organ to life, right? So remember, before I do that, now I want to go ahead and MIDI merge, right? And we're going to go back to measure 10 is fine. And I'm just going to go in, and I want to go back to normal record mode and MIDI merge, right? And here we go.
ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ
Ha ha! Boy. So, now, dearly beloved, we've got to hit it with these controllers. We're learning how to automate these controllers. And I'm telling you, we want to see those automation lanes as you're going insane. And brother, I'm telling you, there's nothing like, and actually that was a little bit of Prince going on. All right, so now we've got this going on, and here's the cool part. Check it out. You can go look at these controllers, right? Now, here's another learning moment with Steve Kane. All right, so check it out. You see MIDI volume and MIDI pan here. So therefore, you will not see it a control 7 or a controller 10 here because it's already here, right? And then they always give you the most common ones on top, and then the ones that you wrote in down below. So I wrote in 2 different ones. We wrote in one for the Leslie cabinet, and then one for the stop bars. So if I right-click, 71 was the stop bars, right? So I can put in here, I can put number 71, stop bar automation on B3 or on MIDI track. On MIDI B3. MIDI track. All right, and then now check this out. Here's the cool thing. You can take your pencil tool and go grab your line tool and look at this. As you're going over here, right? and you're like, I wanted to fix this up. Now listen, I'm not lying to you. You just take your line tool and go just like that. Boom. I'm not lying to you. I want to go here. I'm not lying to you. Come on. Come on. Straighten me out. Straighten me out. Look at that. Would you look at that? Just look at it. All right. So let's pause for some questions. How do you like these controllers, man? All right. So you got to be in your MIDI merge, right? Now remember my expectations. I am not, and we are not expecting you to fully go totally understand this just by watching me this first time. I fully expect you to go watch this video a second time and you pause it and you go try it and you do it until it works. Everybody cool with that, right? But I do expect it to make sense as you're watching it, right? So give me an MS if everybody's been making sense so far. If you need a question, start typing in a question. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. James, Duke, Summer, Brantley, Kevin, Sergio, Russ, Mike. Let's go. Let's go. John. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So this ham sandwich walks into a bar and says, hey, do you guys serve food here? All right. So now that we've got that, now you can go back and you can go to your clip. Remember what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, consolidate me, right? Uno, dos, tres. We'll get everything on the track, right? And then, there you go. And then right click and commit. Now, the cool thing is just like it did in our other one, I always forget it cuts off the microphone and I start talking. I'm like, well, don't forget to, I was going to say, don't forget, right? It automatically puts in your comments there. We'll go make that color coding. So that's good. We got our brown going on there for our bed tracks. I'm going to right click on my bed tracks, make sure that's nice and updated. We're going to go update all tracks real quick. So I'm going to click on my all tracks and then go add my organ. 3 fingers down and right click or 0.90 enter. Alrighty, so we're almost there. We got some time. Everybody feeling good? How do I undo the pencil tool if I mess up your track by accident? Check it out. Great question by Jeremy. Jeremy spoken. All right, so check it out. Here's my favorite window. I call this the drunk uncle window, right? Because when if you've ever gone to a family reunion, you've got a drunk uncle, and they're like, wash his hand, wash his hand, wash his hand, and boom, they slap you with the other hand, right? Well, what happens in DAW world is everybody knows what it was the quick key to undo. A lot of people know, they've been working forever. The quick key for undo is it's Apple Z, right? Command Z, boom, 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 ba-doom, boom, ba-doom, right? And so everybody knows that. But what happens sometimes is not everything in Pro Tools is undoable, right? And sometimes you're going to hit Command Z and you're going to go do, looking right at it. Like, right, you're watching the drunk uncle, right? He's saying, wash his hand, wash his hand. And let's say, let's do this. I watch this. Here's a perfect example. I change this to mini, and now I decide I want to undo that, right? So I'm watching it, right? And you're watching it, and so I hit Apple Z. Oh, well, that didn't work. Let me do it again. Command Z. Oh, it didn't work. And this is like my uncle slapping me. Now watch this edit window. It's doing it. It's undoing something. Right? Ah, look. So, here's the drunk uncle window. It's called undo history. right? And this tells you what's going to happen when you hit undo. So I'm just going to drag all these down. I'll be right back. All right. So I can drag that window up and down and get to a certain spot. And so if I needed to get to right. And you know what? I'm going to be straight up with you. They keep upping that number. It was 32, then it got to 64. Let's go. Number of undos. I thought it was under operation. That ain't. All right, yeah, 64. There you go. Yeah, they keep upping it. It was matter of fact, somebody's like, it was 32, and I was like, yes, it was. It used to be 32, and now it's 64. I remember back in the day when we had one. I think that is both sad and cool. All right, I think there's a really cool factor about that. Like, I had to know my stuff. I only had one level of undo in 1980s. Right? But there's another part of it. It's like, dude, you were sequencing in 1980s and I wasn't even born yet. All right. So, yes, I remember, what's Ice-T's son's name? Man, we can have funny jokes all night. Now I'm getting people's like, they're starting to not pay attention. They're starting to go back with the joke. Sweet tea. I like that. All right. So, here we are, 3 fingers down, bam. We updated our tracks. We're going to go get a lead instrument now. Or some people might say, dude, are you sure that note didn't say lead right there? I got lead lines right there. Lead lines. All right, so we got our lead line of some fashion. You know what I'm probably going to do? You can leave this up to your own interpretation. Some people are going to want to do some electronica. Some people might want to do a little blues guitar riff or something. Somebody like me might... I'm a piano player. I might play a little mix of a little drop of a little doolies on the piano. Right? So whatever you want to do, just clearly label it and make sure that it helps the vocal part. All right, 3 fingers down. Come on, instrument track. Show me some love on the piano. All right, so I go to my multi-channel plug-in instrument. Is the Batman one getting any better? Sling Blade was my one I've been working on the longest, but then I just got tired of, All right, so we got our little mini grand piano here. Pianos you're going to find are great for... layering. You probably find that if you're doing some kind of piano, you're probably not going to find one that you totally love. So you might want to try copying and pasting 2 or 3. I'll show you. All right, so I got this little mini grand piano. We're going to name it before we record it because homeboy Steve told you to. I'm putting a little M for MIDI back here. And hit my little... I just wrote that. Cat walking on the piano. Oh, yeah. All right, so check it out. C minor, baby. Uh-oh. All right, we'll do something. All right, so let's explore this. Let's go to destructive mode for a minute. Now, did I show y'all destructive mode versus non-destructive mode for audio? And the reason that I'm asking you this is because of... All right, so... Good. If I've already done it, I don't want to take up time, but I will tell you that check out last week's archive then on Tuesday. That's when I would have shown you. And the reason I'm asking you this is because of teaching campus classes and online classes both. It's kind of, sometimes my days are like, which one did I teach when yet? All right, so we're down with destructive mode. So normally then for MIDI tracks, I just leave this in normal because what I can do, unlike my audio tracks, is even if it's not recorded, check it out. I'm in play. I can go put my MIDI track into record. I cannot do this with an audio track. And then I can jump into record.
ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੀਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੀਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ
All right, whatever. Now, the cool thing is now we can go in grid mode. If we want to do it by a bar or by a note, whatever you want to do is fine. You can trim that up, right? And, get back. And you're always left there with that kind of stuff. I can trim up my silence there. You know what? I am wondering if I've got too much high end. It's like the organ and the... Now, granted, I haven't panned anything out. Everything's coming straight up the center, but there's a lot of high end in that register. So I want to show you something else. When I'm not sure if I want to transpose this down and play this back over here. So like this, because I was listening to this part right here. That cuts through, I think, more than this does. Because of the organ is so high in that same frequency range. Is everybody give me an HF for high frequency if you kind of dig in my groove and kind of thinking about what I'm thinking about. All right, good. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, John, Duke, Tyrone, Sergio. All right, so here's the way we're gonna do this in Pro Tools, because all of these are what I call destructive MIDI edits. Like, it's going to change the note number if I transpose it. It's going to change what measure, beat, and tick it's on if I quantize it, right? It's going to change the length of the note if I change the duration and such, right? So what I'm going to do then is I've got these cool little things right here. I've got another column called real-time properties, right? Now, what I can do is right here where I start getting high up on here, and remember I'm in grid mode, and like right there, maybe right there, I'm going to split it. Now, there's a quick key to B separated, and you just hit B and it separates it. And it's kind of a hidden little, what do they call those, Easter eggs? Because if I was right here, check it out, and I wanted to separate right here, it's going to tell me Command E. Right? But you can just hit B, right? Sorry, I was making a sandwich. I got hummus on my hands. I got hummus hands. All right, so check it out. Now, there's two ways that I can work with this real-time property thing, all right? So I can affect the entire track or just the clip, right? So check it out. If I went ahead and I transposed this entire track up by 1 octave, right? This whole thing, that part as well as this part, right? But so I can turn it on and off in real time. So I like that. Now notice this little T up here. Now, I pity the fool that doesn't know what this little T means. Ha, that's a Mr. T joke. I pity the fool. All right? And then, so I got the T over both of them. But now check it out. I want to go separately and have this one respond differently than this one. Now check it out, party people. Here's where it gets crazy. So I'm going to double click right here. All right, now check it out. Under my clip, I've got my, event. I've got my real-time properties. Right here. Now, check this out. If I want to try, say, I don't want to try anything on the track, but on this one clip, I want to try transposing that back down -1 octave. Hit return, and now listen. So now look, the track is getting nothing. All right, I'm going to trim that up even more. Come on. Come on, baby. All right. All right, so you know what? That's not my most favorite of piano lines, but I was thinking of doing something else. But that's fine. It's fine. It'll work for right now. All right, so now we're going to take this and I'm going to get my selector tool, so Command 3. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to double click. And then I'm going to right click. And I'm going to go commit that. Actually, I don't want to commit it yet. I don't want to do it yet. I want to show you something else. All right, so 3 fingers down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to name this one Piano 2, which is just French for 2. And I'll go ahead and consolidate that. I'll go ahead and consolidate. So Shift Option 3, right? I'm not scared about that, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my grabber tool. I'm going to hold down Option, and I'm going to pull it right down there, right? Now notice it's not there yet. So now, oh, I'm doing it right now. You hear my dog in the background there? He's like, show him how to layer. I am. I'm showing him how right now. Silly dogs. They love this MIDI layering stuff, and they get into me teaching, and they're like, show the layer, show the layer. They're crazy. I mean, I don't know if your dogs talk to you, but man, mine are nuts. So check it out. Expand is a great sound palette to layer things with, right? So I don't even have to do anything different, but check it out. I'm going to show you first why I want to do something different. Notice that this is piano M4 and this is piano M4. So I hope everybody understands that if I do something to this one, it'll automatically do it to this one. So I might not necessarily want that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to consolidate again. Whoops, that was a snapshot. Shift Command 3. And now I've got piano 2. Now they're separate, right? So now if I want to try to go take this in. Come on. Really? My computer's being slow. All right. So I'm going to go grab a hard grand piano. A screenshot of my favorite class. Here, watch everybody. Click, click. Bzzzt. All right, so check it out. So now that I've got this piano up here, now I can layer these two, right? So I'm just going to pull it down. And actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo these. But now check it out. Now I might transpose this one up an octave, right? And make this nice little layer up here now. And then start bringing this back up underneath. And so make sure that you understand that you can keep playing with layers and all that. Now, I'm saying that, but here's realistically what's going to happen is you're going to commit these first with the volumes at 0, and I just option click to turn that to 0 real quick. So somebody was saying, dude, can I do both of these at the same time? And I'm like, of course you can, bruh. Just shift click, right? And what 2 keys am I going to hold down to make sure that they're both doing it at the same time? Peace out, man. See you later. You can treat this like church. I got people standing up and like, see y'all later, man. I'm going. I'm leaving. You can sneak out the back door. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. All right. Shift and option. Yes, correct, everybody. Thank you, Sergio. Summer. And shift and option. So we're going shift and option. And then, whoa. That was just a zoom. All right, so right click. And then commit. All right, 3 fingers down. With both of these names already highlighted, I'll just click them both and turn them both brown. And medium brown. All right, so I got that going on like that, maybe like that, sure. And so I like right click on my like bed tracks, and I can like totally regroup my bed tracks there, and then I better go ahead and like totally do it to my alt tracks. Do y'all remember that song Valley Girl that Frank Zappa did back in the day? Like, totally. You're like, dude, I wasn't born in the 80s, man. Let's grab our pianos, 3 fingers down. Recommit our alt tracks. And see, and this is just, I'm showing you the real workflow of how I want you to work, because dude, you are not going to want to go set all this up afterwards. You know, you're not going to want to go rename tracks afterwards and color code tracks afterwards and do this. I'm telling you, if you do this stuff as you go, it's going to be so much simpler. Everything's going to be wonderful. All right. Any questions at all? I'm pausing for the causing. We're in our last home stretch. If we were running at 800, we're in our last, 200 or 100 somewhere. We're in the last little bit. All right, everybody good? You know what you call a dog with no legs? It doesn't matter. He's not gonna come anyway. Oh my gosh, man, that's an anti-joke right there. All right. So let's go back to our bed tracks then, and we're just gonna keep this train a going, the Steve Kane pain train. If you're talking about jokes, it's like, dude, those jokes are painful, man. 3 fingers down. All right, so what are we coming up next, Uncle Steve? Hold on, wait a minute. We said Uncle sounded a little bit too weird. What's next, homeboy Steve? Well, class, we've done the bass, we've done the pads, we've done the lead lines. How about we do a melodic counterpart? I started reading Summer's comment, and she said express, the Steve Kane Express. So we could do a melodic express counterpart. I think the problem is I've had a little bit too much espresso today. Espresso, you like how I mispronounced that one? Put that X right in there where it shouldn't be. It's like there's no X in espresso. It's not espresso, it's espresso. That's how I knew I was a grown-up, when they started correcting me. Another learning moment with homeboy Steve. Serge's like, dude, now I'm good. I tell you what, we're not gonna talk about that. All right, so a melodic counterpart. What are you thinking, guys? I'm thinking some kind of monophonic instrument, maybe a band instrument of some sort. What are you thinking? Let's take some suggestions from a crowd. Something to play off the melody a little bit. This is the part where you interact with me and you list Somebody says lead instrument. Of course, it's a lead instrument. Of course, it's a band instrument. We could do a synth. Okay, all right. So you're talking about a synth, all right, or maybe a sax. All right, good, good, good. You don't have to be sorry. I'm being silly here. A sitar. All right, the challenge accepted. All right, let's see if we can put a sitar in here. A sitar should take you far. Won't sound bizarre. And you know what? It might work with those vocals. Sitar. Now, the problem is, and I will readily admit this, I do not sitar. I'm the sitar hero. It's like rock the gas pot. Rock the gas pot. I don't know how to play sitar, so I can't even fake it well on a keyboard. So you're going to run into, sometimes you might find somebody that's going to call BS on you. It's like, that's not, you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even start playing. Right? But like for instance, strings. I know how to arrange strings, and I can play stringed instruments, not very well, but I can certainly, do them well enough. And some of our grads have taught me some really cool tricks on how to make my strings sound even better. And the neat thing is, which is record them one at a time, by the way. Don't block chords. Record a low part, then a mid part, and a high part, and all that, right? So, part of laying down good stuff is actually watching real people play, and this guy Mike Exeter, he's our grad that did Red Wine and did that last Black Sabbath 13 album, won the Grammy for that. He was the one that told me that string idea, because he says, in an orchestra, he says all your string players aren't going to be totally right there, on it. Somebody tell me a number if you're seeing something that I'm not, as far as a sitar. Oh, I bet it's going to be Far East or something like that. Let's try. I don't know. Anybody else see a sitar? Number 4. All right. 2. All right. So let's. Oh yeah. All right. So I wanted to play around her vocal, and she's doing this. Right? Is that what she's doing?
ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੱਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੱਲ ਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੀਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗ ਵਾਚਾ.
All right. So yeah, let's do that. So I'm thinking on a music scale, usually that sitar, you're thinking like melodic and harmonic minors and such, and some neat little things like that. So I'm going to try to do some of those kind of sounds, like these natural sevens, but then going up to the minor third. Or actually a good... I don't know. We'll try that for like a little scale. That's where all your funky modes and music theory can really help you create some realistic stuff. But we're going to fake it out. We're just going to play it off of her melody. And like I said, I'm not grading you for your musicality. I don't want it to sound like poo-poo, you know what I mean? I don't want it to sound like no poo-poo. All right, I'm going to go back to measure 12. I'm going to do our 2-bar count off and no click track. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Here we go. All right. Now, let's talk about hearing myself. All right. So, For right now, I'm going to take a group of bed tracks then, and let's just lower all of this, right? So I'm going to take all of these guys, and we're going to make another group. Because remember, in our rubric, one of the guidelines is that you've got at least 2 edit mix groups, yeah? So now we're going above and beyond, yeah? And we're going to do 3 mix groups. Yeah, very good. And these I'll use them as edit groups. So Command G, yeah. Very good groups. And very good. We call these bed tracks groups. And it's very good. They're very good groups. They're very good. And then what I do is, see, watch, because I take my drum tracks off, let's take that, and I lower my beds on one, all of them go. Look at that, it's beautiful. And then I take it back off like that, and I put this one back up like that, and then I hear very good. It's very, very good. All right, you ready to rock and roll? You wanted the best? You've got the best. Oh, who left the MIDI merge button on? Did somebody not turn the MIDI merge button off? Guess not. And who didn't save recently? Oh, you know what? We better give ourselves another little save as well. So let's do save as, because I don't want to have just one place to go back to. So this is day 3, and now we've got all of our bed tracks. Basically, I should have been saving as more often. All right, so one more time. Let's go, fo. Let's get this thing on the road. Sorry, I got carried away. All right. So we got our sitar. Let's pop this back up. Option to 0, right? Option, click it to 0. I'm going to click and shift and double click. And I am going to name this. And you know what? I think I forgot one on the other one. Sitar comp. Sitar camp. That'll work too. All right, and then double click, shift double click, and we're going to commit it. And after we commit it, we save it. Tap it, 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 tap it. Hit OK. OK, 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 OK. Ooh, I got some chat room. Somebody. So, yeah, and let's James, let's continue to talk about that too, because I honestly thought it had vocals. So, but it's not too late, man. It's not too late. We're not in any kind of worry at all. So I got this going on. All right. So here we're looking good there. Let's just do a little cleanup, right? So we're gonna edit our bed tracks, and then we are going to get all tracks. And this is the easiest way to do it, guys. By clicking this, and then check it out. Because I was already working here, it's already highlighted. You can just click it on there. And then 3 fingers down, and then right click and return. Okay, So here's what we're going to do, folks. Now, I told you on the first day that I was only going to go over the Pro Tools or the remix milestone with you that first time because it's usually just snapshots. But I do fully understand that one of the snapshots that you're required to have this week says that you need to have some plugins instantiated. And so I do want to go over that real quick. All right. So when you're in your week 3, let's just open this up in a new tab here. And you're looking at your, why did it do that? That's funny. Make sure I'm previewing. Yep. When you look at your remix milestone, I do want to just point this out to you because it says to have them instantiated, some time-based effects instantiated, which is just a fancy way of saying have it there. Let me show you this. So, like I said, I'm not going to go over all this. It's just you've got, you're doing screenshots and PDFs and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things it says is that you've got your Pro Tool session with dynamic and time-based effects instantiated. Okay, instantiated. That is an awesome word that somebody else wrote. That means get them started. It does not mean you've got your mix going yet. All right. Now, here's the reason that, we want you to start them even though we're not mixing yet. Now, let me tell you this. Here's the reason. Is that when you've got somebody standing in the vocal booth, a lot of the times they're not going to want to hear their dry voice. They're going to want to go ahead and hear a little reverb or a little delay or whatever it is that's there wanting to listen. They don't want to listen to the dry vocal. So right from the get-go, when you're working with a vocalist, you're probably going to be putting a little bit of reverb or delay or EQ on their vocal, even just to make their vocal sound good. Does that make sense? So that's why we're like, all right, let's go ahead and pretend that this was like a real vocalist, and we're going ahead and instantiating effects. We're just kind of putting them in there. This isn't the final mix. We're not picking the final reverb or the final delay or the final EQ or anything. But we just want to have a dynamic and a time-based effect. I would go with a reverb and an EQ. All right, for your dynamic based. So here's how we do this. Now, I'm telling you this because we've only got a few more minutes here in lecture, and when we're talking about this, it says that on this guy, hold it, where'd it go? On that one that you got these time-based instantiated. I'm going to go in deep detail on Thursday about how we work with these, and then I fully intend for you to take that and still work with it, and then next week we're going to start mixing it. But regardless, because the vocalist would probably want to hear some effects, let's go ahead and add some effects to the vocals. So let's get our vocals up here. Now, notice I've got dry vocals, right? So, and I'm going to go slow on Thursday as I explain this. And then I'm going to close these sends. I'm just going to hold down Option and click on these. I'll get rid of those. If I actually click the right place, there you go. So let's see where we are and what our vocals are looking like. All right. So if I wanted, probably first off, I'm going to stick these up in the middle. And I'm not sure how similar these are. But I'm just going to go ahead and get a EQ on here. So a dynamic effect I put right on the track. Like an EQ. EQ and dynamics. They break them up. Those dynamics are like compressors and stuff. And so EQs, what I generally do is I I take out my low end until I start hearing it.
ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ
And then I find something I like.
ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ
Then I find something that's annoying and I pull it out.
ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ ਵੇ ਨਾਈ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਵਾਲਿਆ ਵੇਖਦਾ ਈ ਵੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਲੌਂਗਾ ਵਾਚਾ
All right. So, and like I said, I'm going to really go over how to mix and how Pro Tools goes mixing, how they go about mixing, and do that more in depth. But that's how I would set up a dynamic processor. Just put it right on the track. Then they said they want to see a time-based processor, right? So. That would be something like reverb or delay. All right, so what we could do is we could have an aux track, and I'm just going to get more than I need. So Shift Command N, because we're going to be mixing later on anyway. And mixing is Nashville for mixing, just so you know. All right, so I want 10. We're going to go Command sideways arrow for stereo and Command down arrow for aux, and I'll hit Create. And then I'm just like like my other tracks, I'm just going to name them as I use them. So this will be Vox Verb. All right, so here's the thing about time-based routing. And again, I'm going to go very slow and explain this in great detail on Thursday. But to go fast, I need to send some signal over here, right? So I've got to send. So because I can only put plugins on reverb, or I can only put plugins on inserts, I'm going to put my reverb plugin. I'm just going to be, I'm going to put my reverb on C. Okay. And let's just get something that's obnoxious that we'll hear easily, like a scoring stage, a stadium, concert hall. There, we would definitely hear concert hall. So I've got the only places I can put are inserts. I can put plugins are on inserts. So now I need to get it over there. I need to send it over there. So I'm going to send it, since I got my reverb on C, I'm going to use send C, and that way it just kind of makes sense. Now outside is outside, but buses are inside, and it doesn't matter which one you use. You can use 7 and 8 if you want to. But if I'm sending this amount on 7 and 8, what does this input need to be? Very good, very good. I'm going to leave that also on bus 7 and 8. Very good, awesome. And so now as I turn up this signal, it's going to get there. Now, if you're having problems hearing that reverb, I want to talk to you about our business degree programs here at Full Sail University. I'm kidding. I just tried to pick something, loud and obnoxious, but realistically, you're gonna, get it till you hear it, and then you'll pull it back. All right, so that's what I want to see this week, is I want to see that you've at least got an EQ and either like a reverb or a delay for that on that milestone when we're asking you to have a dynamic and a time-based effect instantiated. And I just feel that when I say that word, I need to say instantiated. So, with that being said, you guys, so for our remix project, let's look over our day 3 of what we're wanting us to complete. Now, the thing I did not do that you can do on your own is pick some kind of cool sound effect and give me some rain or something like that that kind of really ties it in together. But tonight we laid down a bass and a pad and a lead line. We did some committing. We did a lot of workflow kind of stuff of showing you how to take MIDI tracks, committing them, keep adjusting our colors, keep adjusting our memory locations, so our job keeps getting easier. I'm not ever going over here and having to pick which tracks I'm wanting to see. I've always got that over here. It's always up to date. If I'm looking at my edit window, it's color coded and it's easy to read. So I'm trying to do this real world for you. And again, I want to reiterate that although I'm only doing 8 bars or so, we're fully expecting you to do an entire song. Okay. So when let's see. I want to make sure that I've covered everything up to now. As you're turning these in, guys, remember to hit your save copy in and hit that button. Remember to name them correctly. I'm not going to go through this whole guideline here, but the couple things that I remember were stinging some people last week are not labeling things and stuff like that. And again, I do want to say I apologize to my session 2. I was grading so fast this morning before coffee, I put the grades in the wrong section, and to avoid any possible errors, I didn't want to try to retranscribe and then untranscribe and then duplicate and all that. So unfortunately this week, only for section 2, your remix project grades are where your Pro Tools project grades would be, and your Pro Tools project grades are where your remix project grades would be. And because they weigh the same, that's why I decided to do this. So with that being said, are there any questions about things that didn't make sense or anything? Has everybody had a good night? We are coming on up. It is getting about that time where we will call it a night. Okay, I do have a question. It says, the project I am working on has instruments that came with it, so working on the project, do we make inactive and hide the rest of the tracks and just leave the vocals? And of course the new instruments we built. That is exactly right, Sergio. You're going to tempo map it out using the original instruments and then strip them out and then build them up for here. So I've got a sad face. What is the sad face about? Is the sad face that you haven't heard enough echo? Because I can fix that. Did you hear about the guy that invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint. Alrighty, well listen. If I don't have any further questions, I'm going to answer some of these that aren't exactly this specific to this project. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a night. I want to thank Chad, Gabriel, James, Jeremy, John, S.C., John S.E., Mike, Russ, Sergio, Shantae, Summer, and Tyrone. Thank you all for being here. It was a pleasure. I'm going to see you Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Hope y'all have a wonderful evening. Peace out.